It's a 9-year-old girl, and Muhammad is 54. And my difficulty is I can't see how that's moral.
Moral?
Yes.
What's your name?
Chris.
Chris, my name is Ibrahim, yes, sir.
It's a nice name.
Chris, can I just mention something to you, yeah? Chris, can I just mention something to you, yeah? I don't know if you're aware that some historians, they call this, have you ever heard of the term presentism? Do you know what presentism is?
It's the idea that you use current day culture.
It's anachronistic. It's like anachronism. Right? So some scholars look at that situation and they say it's like presentism. What you're doing, and I can see that I'm not patronising, I can see that you're a decent person, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's some individuals, unfortunately, they like to slander the Prophet, peace upon him, and say that this is like paedophilia. I haven't heard you say that. What I heard you say is that you have problems with it. Now, you're entitled to have your opinion, but when we analyse that marriage, yeah, and when we look at her as an individual, Aisha, and when we look at the society, yeah, we would see there was nothing wrong with this marriage, right?
Isn't that presentism, what you just said earlier? So my friend here was saying
no. What I'm saying, right, Chris, sorry. The fact that you are having this problem, because what you're doing, you're using present day. See what I mean? You're using present day principles, and you're trying to apply it to back then.
Okay.
So when we look at them back then, they never had the problem. The problem that you're having.
Okay.
See, remember, I can't take away your opinion and your view. But what I'm here to show you here, is that the people, they criticize him. Do you know how much? Do you know? Apart from this marriage, let's put the marriage aside. Do you know that the Prophet peace upon him was heavily criticized?
Yeah.
Do you know he had many enemies?
Yes.
You will find no narration, no hadith of his enemies criticizing this marriage.
Okay.
Right?
Don't speak about it.
Yeah, of course. You can come in.
Right, so the argument my friend here made was that there is an objective morality, yes, that we both agree with. We both agree on the epistemology of morality. We know where we get it from. We believe it's an objective source. My issue is what you're saying. It sounds like you're disagreeing with him in some way, because it sounds like you're saying, well, actually,
no.
He's tackling your
what we believe today is not what they believed back then, and we should view it in the context of how it was back then. But if we do that, that's no longer objective, is it? That's actually subjective. That's a
he's making a clarification.
No, Chris. Sometimes, you know, affairs, yeah? I'm not saying you're doing it deliberately. Sometimes what happens, people complicate affairs. Look at this. Let's look at it in a more rounded way. Even added to what this individual shouting at, fair enough. People see the marriage of the Prophet peace upon him to Aisha as immoral based upon how we understand morality today. So now what I'm saying, right, with the presentism, right, and I'm just giving a point that some historians, they don't look at it that way, because they look at this as presentism, because what you do, we're trying to apply our understanding of present day morality to back then. I mean, I can give you an example here of like Queen Elizabeth of Valour. Yeah, she was what age? I think she was no, less than that. Sorry?
I totally get that in the past there were people, very famous people, very royal people, who did bad, evil things, including had sex with, arguably, children. What I'm saying is that is not my greatest moral example today.
That's fine.
But is Muhammad the greatest moral example to you today?
Absolutely.
100%.
Okay.
You want to ask another question?
So now it's difficult, because now there are two things I have to do in my head. First of all, I have to understand how arguably a 54-ish-year-old man, Muhammad, had sex with Aisha at the age of 9, and how not only is that justifiable, but that is an example of the greatest moral example for us today. That is a very difficult thing.
Chris, see, see this, you know, I like the discussion with you. That's fine. But what I'm gonna do something here that might make it, or for me, easier for us to understand. This man was a prophet of God, right? I'm gonna go back to something which we call Tawheed, meaning to do with the oneness of God. Allah, let's look at this here in this context. Because remember, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not gonna chastise you for your opinion, and especially because you've come in with you're very reasonable. You know, so you're not hailing abuse. You've obviously got a problem with that, and that's fine. So for us, this is how a Muslim looks at it. Even before we explain it, look how we look at it. Allah, the true God, revealed his message to the Prophet, peace upon him. Allah says about him, وَإِنَّكَ عَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah says about him in the Quran, verily you are on an exalted standard of character. Now look at this for a Muslim now. Allah, who is perfect, who have attributes of perfection, who has no errors, he is the all-knower, he's the all-wise. Now why did I mention these two particular attributes? Allah knows who he's going to give his message to. He's the all-wise. His wisdom is perfect. So he's chosen the final message to be revealed unto Muhammad upon him. Allah tells us that this for me is the greatest recommendation.
Okay, I just want to put you there. Forgive me for interrupting.
Yes, go on.
What I'm going to say is, okay, but all this is that something you take on faith, yes? So you're saying
No, not just faith. Not just faith. What I'm trying to do here, I'm going to the original source. I wanted to give an analogy so it's easy for us to understand here. So say for example, right? There was an individual. Let's use medicine. There was a doctor, right? This doctor was the most renowned doctor in the world. Nobody would ever debate with this doctor. And this doctor said, because of knowing a student of his, give me one example. This doctor said, you know what? I'm going to pass my teachings onto this individual. Right? People will accept things from that individual because that doctor, who is renowned, has recommended him. So now what I'm trying to say to you here, the highest authority is God. Okay. Allah said, just before you come in, right, just to emphasize, Allah has said about this man who is deemed by some to be immoral because he married a 9-year-old, and I'm saying Allah has said, وَإِنَّكَ عَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are on an exalted standard of character. So that means, how we understand that this marriage was a marriage that Allah approved of. Because if he never approved of it, the Prophet, peace upon him, would have been corrected.
Okay, but you need to understand this. The belief that you have that Allah is God, or the belief that I could ever have such a thing, that Islam is true, I am less certain of that than I am certain that a 54-year-old man having sex with a 9-year-old is
That's
wrong.
fine. No, Chris, you know what it is?
That.
Chris, I totally...
Can I say something?
One second, bro. Sorry. I'm going to let you come in, bro. Chris, you know what it is, yeah? I totally understand that to me. That's what I'm not condemning you for. But what I'm trying to say to you, yeah, and this is what a lot of Muslims we need to do, refer it back to the one who revealed the message. And this is why I gave you that worldly example. Because I'm not forcing that, saying that you must believe. But you put it on, bro. Because my hands is a bit... So what I'm saying to you, yeah, Chris, yeah, I'm not saying to you, yeah, that you cannot have your belief. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say to you, be fair, yeah. Look at me. Look at what I'm considering to be my authority. Here's a man. First of all, yeah, I believe in God. I believe that God doesn't make mistakes. I believe that God is an all-knower. I believe that God is the most wise. Yeah. So here's a man whom Allah, the one who is perfect, the one who is without error, he has said about his slave, وَإِنَّكَ عَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are an exalted standard of character. So he marries Aisha now. How could I have any problems with that when it comes from God? That's first. Can I just give you a sorry, Chris? Because I know I'm saying a lot, yeah. I know, because I know I'm saying a lot, yeah.
Just going to come in with this. Ultimately,
I'm going to talk about his parents now and the society,
right?
Yeah. Not your parents. Because you know what it is, bro? I think what I'm going to do. I'm sorry to hug it, yeah, but I'm going to let you talk. Because what I'm going to do, first of all, yeah, I gave you the highest authority was Allah. And that's enough for to say that's it. But what was I also going to explain, but I'm going to let you come in. I'm going to talk about her father. The fact that who gave her away? Was it Muhammad himself that asked to marry her, or was it her offer to him? Then I was going to explain to you about her as a person, so I'm going to let you come in.
Okay, so two things here. We totally agree on the objective standard coming from God. We totally agree with that.
Okay.
I do not think, though, that God would deem such a thing morally good. I don't, especially don't think that.
So imagine, what's your crime? Imagine this here. Sorry, I do apologize.
When you say that a 54-year-old had sex with a 9-year-old, even if it was ordained by God,
yes.
What that does to me is it calls into question whether or not that actually came from God.
Can I say something?
That is
Let us finish.
God, so I know that you can talk about how Aisha was betrothed to someone else before Muhammad. I know you can get into the nuance of that. That's fine, but it isn't really going to change the fundamental question.
Yeah, but that's your criteria, because you know what it is, Chris? Because of the consistency. Sorry, right, bro, I'm really sorry. You know, just for the consistency, right, bro? Chris, you know what it is, though? Imagine this, yeah, look at the two things, yeah? I've come in for criteria, and you've come in for criteria. My criteria and authority is Allah. Yours is who?
God.
No, but listen to what I just happened. That's why I said, forgive me, bro, because of continuity and consistency, I just want to make that point. Imagine this year, you mentioned a word here that I cannot see God allowing that. So now, I'm asking you, look at this here, my criteria for believing that this marriage was sound and there was nothing wrong with it and it was moral, my authority and criteria is God. So now I'm asking you for the opinion that you hold. Who is your authority and what's your criteria?
So we have the same objective standard, which is God, yes? Whether you call him Allah, whether I call him Jesus, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying though, is that this to me seems evidence that Islam is false if it is ordained from Allah that a 54-year-old can have sex with a 9-year-old. So that's my good. But let's make this clear.
Yes.
I do not see any way in which such a thing could be moral.
Based upon what?
Because
what's the criteria?
If you're saying that Allah makes it moral, then my question would be, if Allah never ordained this, and say for example it was a different religion, would you still have the same view?
But that's if. But you know what it is, Chris?
But would you still have the same view?
Yeah. All right. Let me let them, because I want to come back on this. Let me let my brother respond. Let my brother respond.
Is there anything in the Bible that you're uncomfortable with from a moral standpoint?
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, from the Bible, yeah. But there's a difference between what God ordains and says is good, and something like, for example, in Islam, Muhammad is said to be the greatest moral example.
No. Yeah. My question was, is there anything in the Bible that you feel uncomfortable with from a moral standpoint?
Well, yeah, because the Bible describes many things which are evil. In fact, the Bible records people lying. It says this and this person lies, and I'm uncomfortable with lying.
Sorry, Chris, let me clarify the question.
Okay.
Is there anything in the Bible that God has commanded his creation, mankind, to do, to enact, from the commandment of God, that you find immoral?
So there are things that are difficult, and I won't tell you that I don't find them emotionally difficult, because there are. There are things in many religions that are like that.
No.
But I do accept it.
But you accept it.
I do accept them, yes.
So bear with me.
Beautiful.
That's a very good
point.
So in the Bible, this is cliche as this discussion is. In the Bible, it talks about genocide, killing babies, and even the donkeys.
That's correct.
Not the donkeys.
Yeah, even the donkeys. Yes,
bro.
even
It says in the Bible. I can show you as well.
Now,
Yes.
from and this is a commandment from God, commanding the followers and believers of God to enact these crimes. Okay? From my standpoint, looking at this, the baby didn't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now this is wisdom, foresight. Maybe those babies would have grown up to do evil. So he countered that. As they kill the babies now. Now, regardless of your explanation, I believe you accept God's wisdom and God's command and edict because God is all-knowing, all-wise. Okay? So therefore, you believe that for that particular reason, just as the brother Ibrahim eloquently described, fundamentally with his belief in God and him all-knowing, being all-knowing and all-wise, he doesn't see that as being oppression to Aisha. Just like you see the baby and the donkey, whatever he is, I don't know what the donkey is called, for being killed, you see that under the umbrella of God's wisdom. Do you see the understanding and the commonality?
I understand your point. Your point is effectively, now hang on a second. In places like 1 Samuel, there are clearly commands from God that seem to be saying to do evil things. What I'm saying is this. God is the ultimate moral authority, and he has morally
That's exactly the point I was making.
Right, but here's the thing though.
Yes.
We all agree there can be morally significant reasons to allow for the death of others, right?
Say that again, sorry.
There can be morally significant reasons to allow for the death and the killing of others. Such as
Yeah, there can be, yeah, in war, yes.
There can be.
Okay,
Of course.
of
Is
course.
there any morally significant reason you can think of to allow for a 54-year-old to have sex with a 9-year-old?
Yes.
What?
Number one, you use the term child. So,
I believe a 9-year-old is a child, yes.
yeah, exactly. So, technically speaking, it's about the definition of the word child and what that means.
Okay.
Okay, so
I think an 9-year-old is a child.
so no problem. So you're using today's understanding of child, teenager, which was invented in America in the 50s. Teenager didn't exist.
Yeah, it's not a real thing.
You were either a child moving into, regardless of young adulthood, moving into adulthood. There was no in-between period between child and adult.
Absolutely, yeah.
You were either that or you were this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Beautiful.
what
Because
you're
the term
doing
adolescence
is-
was
What you're
introduced
doing is
years
using
later.
today's understanding
Correct, 100%.
of
That's
child
correct. We never understood
and
adolescence. They invented
and,
that term.
and like the Bible said, and superimposing it on that understanding then. Okay. Now, to answer your question about what Muhammad peace be upon him is the moral authority for us and the impeccable character that is held for us. Yes, but it goes back to my original question. As the brother said, he holds the authority from God and the command from God, just as you do the command from God to kill babies and donkeys.
That's why it counterbalances.
You accept it.
It's a waste of time.
Under God's wisdom
Bro,
and umbrella.
can I add something here, Chris, if you don't mind? I know it's a lot.
Very quickly, yeah.
Because you know what it is, though?
It's counterproductive.
Bro,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
and not only that, do you know what I find, Chris, you know, the fact that you said you struggle with a 54-year-old marrying a 9-year-old, and we've already sex with a 9-year-old, and yes, and we've already said to you the authority comes from God. I find it so bizarre when you can accept that innocent people, women, children, can be killed.
Infant donkeys as well.
I've
Yeah,
got
the
some.
infants and donkeys.
I've got some verses in the Bible. Yeah, to me, it is absolutely horrific.
Can I explain?
Can I say something to you? So, by comparison, you consider
12.
that a man, and the thing is, remember, I haven't even explained the other aspect here of why there was nothing wrong with this marriage, which I said about.